BookTube. I'm Lori, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. I'm happy to have you. And today we're going to talk about all things audiobook. Now, I've had a on and off again relationship with audiobooks in my lifetime. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I used to listen to audiobooks on a Walkman while I would literally walk in my neighborhood, and I would get cassette versions or CD versions after CDs came out from my library. Walkmans, I think, were popular definitely in the 80s, because I remember listening to my Walkman then. It was a good way for me to stay awake during an audiobook, because I have a tendency, if I'm not doing something, to fall asleep. But I kind of got out of the habit because I got out of the habit of walking. We changed neighborhoods, and I just stopped doing it. And for a period of time around that time, I got an iPod no, the iPod came a bit later, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I got an iPod Classic, and I was a member then of Audible for a period of time. So I downloaded a few audiobooks at that time, but didn't listen to a lot of them. Found the credits were kind of building up, and at that time too, they came in parts. So when you downloaded them into the iPod, they were parts 1 through 4, and that was a little bulky to kind of keep up with. And I don't know, it wasn't something I kept up. And so for a long time, I didn't listen to audiobooks much at all. Every now and again, I would get one from the library. I would be on a trip and we would listen to it as a family, or, whoever was in the car. But it wasn't a regular practice for me. Fast forward to this last year, and I really made an intentional shift in the way that I wanted to spend my reading lifetime. And one of the things I recognized was that I had some time to read audiobooks that I wasn't taking advantage of. And a lot of my friends were taking advantage of reading via audiobook version. And I thought it would be a good way for me to get back into it, to create a new subscription to Audible. And I bought a Bluetooth earbud that I could use and listen while I was getting ready for work, cleaning, cooking, whatever. I found that to be very helpful to me, to be able to just shift the way I was listening from the walk or the car to the everyday activities in my household that I had whenever I had some spare time. I also discovered that, again, the Audible credits were kind of piling up, and I wasn't sure that that was something I wanted to continue, so I didn't. But I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment when I go through each one. So today I thought I would show you or tell you how you can access Audible or audiobooks. I guess it should be, not Audible is the name of a company, not the format. How you can access audiobooks for free or for a fee, and what the fees are and how they all work. And so that might help you if this is something that you want to add to your reading life, or you want to expand in a way that you haven't so far. I do pay for one now. I pay for two right now. I'm about to cancel one. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And so I'll tell you sort of the pros and cons of all of them. How's that? And I'll give you kind of a rating, how I feel about each one. So let's get going. All right, so the free one that is first on my list to tell you about is LibriVox, and that is an app. I'll show you the icon here on the screen. It's an app that you can download to your phone, or I think your iPad as well, and it is completely free as long as you don't mind the ads that are populated. So it's somewhat like Spotify is for music or Pandora is for music. You can buy an ad-free option, or you can just listen to the free version and not pay anything. LibriVox has mostly classics, older books. And the neat thing about LibriVox, for some people, I think it's neat, is that they're read by volunteers. So they're not professional narrators, but they are definitely committed to reading a book, and they're committed to doing it well. And there are some that are better than others, but they're mostly classics. So most of them are old. I'll just looking at the titles. Off the top of my head, Sherlock Holmes, Grimm's Fairy Tales, Pride and Prejudice, Moby Dick, also The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, The Power of Concentration by William Walker Atkinson, Your Invisible Power, Genevieve Barron. So some nonfiction, some fiction, classics mostly, as I said. So here's an example of, and since this is free content, I'll play it for you, but here's an example of Moby Dick for one.
Nations of the world. He loved to dust his old grammars. It somehow mildly reminded him of his mortality.
For LibriVox, you do need to listen to it in the app, or you can download it to your device. I don't think you can download those to Kindle. And you can keep them as long as you need to in order to finish listening to them. So there's no, I don't think that I think you just remove them from your device when you choose to do that. For some titles, there are more than one version. So you can choose which version you want, and you can maybe read it or listen to it in more than one version, more than one narrator. So that's always fun. LibriVox is a nice price entry point, free or very low cost, to be able to listen to some books, but again, not professional narrators. And I have discovered from watching comments on social media that some people really care deeply about the narrator. I would give LibriVox 3.5 stars. I think for what it is, it's done very, very well. And they don't have a lot of variety, but I think it's a great opportunity for both the narrator and the listener. The next one that is free with a little bit of a restriction is Hoopla, and these are free through your library card, and your ability for your library to subscribe to them is the key to that. So if your library offers Hoopla, you're able to sign in and access Hoopla for free just using your library card. Now, Hoopla is a little bit interesting to me. So you're able to download 5 titles a month at no cost through your library, although your library does pay a fee every time you download a title. So in my mind, I want to make sure that when I use Hoopla, I'm actually going to listen to that book, because I don't want my library to pay for something that I'm not going to listen to. Your library chooses which titles to offer. So the access to titles and new releases varies depending on your library's book budget. I find that for me personally, they are not always, some of the titles that I want to borrow are not always available. Let's just put it that way. But once you borrow them, you do have them for the entire month, and you have those 5 limits of 5 downloads. Hoopla does not have holds on any of the books, so if they offer the book for you, you're able to borrow it at any time, no matter how many other listeners might have borrowed it. That you can download the Audible audio version of the book to your Kindle. They also have ebooks and movies and TV shows and comic books and a variety of other things, but you can download the audio version to your Kindle. I would give Hoopla, for me, in my particular library, 3.5 stars, because it's very reliable. The streaming is good. And my biggest challenge with Hoopla, though, is they don't often have what I'm looking for. Usually Hoopla doesn't have anything that's fairly recently released. They also have nonfiction as well as fiction. The next free one is Overdrive, which is also available through a library card. So you can borrow audio or ebooks from Overdrive, provided that your library participates in an Overdrive subscription. Overdrive is available to you only for 2 weeks. And so if you don't listen to the audiobook within the 2 weeks, it is no longer available to you, and they do allow people to hold a title, so it may be that you can't access that title for quite a while if it's a popular title. Overdrive does require an app for you to be able to listen to the audio version, and I don't think you can download it directly to your device. So you would listen to it through the Overdrive app, and you can do that on your Kindle, you can do that on your phone, any other devices that allow you to have apps. So again, you get the title for 14 days. You can renew it if no one else has a hold on it, and the quality of the streaming is really good. What I also like about Overdrive is that you can recommend to your library if they don't already own it, and that's a licensing that they work through Overdrive with. You can recommend books that you want to listen to, and your library may or may not choose your recommendation. But if they do, then that is automatically put into your holds or loan file, so you can download it right away and listen to it right away, which is nice. I would give Overdrive 4 stars. My library is good at getting new titles. The audiobooks are often more available than the ebooks because a lot of people prefer ebooks to audio, and they have a good quality of listening. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now we get to the paid versions of um, audio listening, and the first one on my list to talk about is Scribd. Now, Scribd is fairly recent for me. I've probably been subscribing to Scribd for half the year or more, probably more like 8 months. That is an $8.99 a month subscription, and you can get a free month trial for Scribd, which I did do. To see if you're going to like it. You have an unlimited number of checkouts. They do have a pretty good selection of new releases. Occasionally you have to wait a little bit for new and older titles, and I'm not sure why that happens, but it does. So for example, when I was reading The Devil in the White City, I wanted to listen to it because it was a little bit of a tough read, and it wasn't available for 2 weeks for me to be able to do that. And I looked today for another title, and it isn't also available until like next week. So I'm not sure if they rotate them in and out. They call themselves the world's largest digital library, and they do have a lot of titles, I will say that. And I have been very satisfied with the number of books that I can listen to, and I can download as many as I want at one time. You can download them onto your device pretty easily, and then you can remove those downloads when you finish reading them. So I don't keep them forever, certainly, but there's no restriction. So if other people have it, you can still access it. So it's accessible for you at any time, regardless of how many other people are listening at the same time. So during the first 30 days, I listened to a couple of titles, and I was pretty happy with it. And then I went ahead and decided to create the subscription. Then I discovered there were some audiobooks that were not streaming well. The app was getting stuck. I couldn't go on to the next chapter. It would be really glitchy. I emailed customer service. They told me that they had an update on the app and I needed to use the update. I said I already had. I have automatic updates. They said they were working on some other bug fixes. Things got a little bit better. Then I listened to an audiobook a month or so ago, to Tangerine, and it played the same book but 2 different chapters at the same time. I mean, it was the worst. I couldn't even finish it because that I didn't know how long that was going to last, and I couldn't even bear to listen to it for more than a couple of minutes. But then just recently I listened to The House on Mango Street and Where the Crawdads Sing, and had a flawless experience with both of them. So I don't know if they've fixed it or if it just depends on the book itself. I'm not sure, but I've had a lot of challenge with the free-flowing stream without interruption or issue. So you can get as many as you want for that $8.99 a month. You can download them to your device. You can access them no matter who has them, and you can get a free 30-day trial to see if you like it. So I would give Scribd, given all of this, yes, there are some challenges with playback on occasion, but I would still give it 4 stars because it is, you can really just access a lot for that $8.99 a month. The next paid subscription I'm going to talk about is Audible. I often call books Audible books because it's kind of an iconic name now. Audible subscriptions are $14.95 a month, and they offer you 1 credit download for a new release or old release, as well as some Audible originals that are always free, but there are 2 that are released every month, and they run the gamut. There's quite a number of Audible original titles, and you can keep those titles. Once you purchase that credit, you keep those forever. Choose from, like I said, a pretty wide range with Audible. Audible used to be an independent business, and now it's owned by Amazon. So when you have your Audible membership, it is connected to your Amazon account. You can then download those Audible audiobooks into your Kindle. You can download them into your phone app, your Audible app on your phone, and you can download those titles directly into iTunes. And they're yours to keep forever, so you can choose in whatever format you choose to listen to them. The Audible app is a little more challenging when you're driving than the iTunes app is for me, but either one, they're pretty easily accessible and easy to operate. Their streaming quality is good. I've never had an issue with an Audible book, and they're all narrated by the narrator that the publisher contracted with to narrate the novel. So you get 1 to 3 books a month. One is a new release. The other 2 are Audible originals. They can build up, so you don't have to use your credit every month. You can save them up, wait for a book to be published on audiobook, and or you can, cancel. You can pause your Audible subscription once every year. So you can take 1 month off a year to kind of catch up. I would give Audible 4.5 stars. Audible does give you a 30-day membership trial, so you do want to, give that a shot because you don't have anything to lose. You get 1 audiobook for free for a month. Occasionally they have a 3-month free trial through an Amazon special, so you're able to get a couple of 3 audiobooks and give it a try. And so that's one way of doing it. So there's less risk involved in putting out that money. And the next one is fairly new to me, so I am reviewing it after only being a member for about a month. This one is Libro.fm. And here's how I found out about Libro. I was at my independent bookseller with my daughter, and I saw a sign for Libro FM, and she saw something for Libro FM at another part of the store. And we both said, "Oh my gosh, did you see that?" So what's interesting about Libro FM to us, and what made it appealing to us, is that 2 things. One, that they support independent booksellers. So when you purchase one of your monthly books from Libro FM, your independent bookseller gets a piece of that purchase. The premise that Libro FM is really based on is that Audible and some of the other bigger companies that own Audible and that own other ways of listening and doing things in the world are big companies, and they are racking in billions of dollars. Amazon and Audible now take in a lot of money every month. Whereas independent booksellers are always struggling to keep the doors open and have to really be inventive in order to be able to do that. And you may pay a bit more when you purchase from an independent bookseller for a book than you would in a place like Amazon or even Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. Having said that, Libro FM is the same price essentially as Audible, but your independent bookseller gets the benefit of you purchasing from them, which we thought was wonderful. They do have a great selection of books available. You can download them straight to your device as you can with Audible. What else we found to be helpful about Libro.fm is that they are curated by independent booksellers. So you may get a different number of titles on Libro than you would on Audible, because they're maybe looking at some of the books that you're not always seeing as mainstream new releases, big authors that everybody knows. So for example, but the first book that I downloaded on Libro is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and I had not even heard of that book before. It's read by the author, and you get a great description of it, and it benefits your bookseller. The other reason my daughter and I were compelled to give it a try is because they give you 3 book credits for the first month if you're switching from another audiobook service. So if you're switching out of Audible, which we both were, or if you're switching out of Scribd, which I may very well be this month, or any other streaming service that provides audiobooks, they'll give you 3 credits for the first month just for trying it. And so I've only used one of mine so far, and those credits never expire. So again, Libro is $14.99 a month, which is essentially the same as Audible. You get at least 1 credit. You can also purchase additional books if you choose to do so for 30% off. So you could get more than 1 book a month with your subscription. You are able to also access referral credits through Libro. So if you refer a friend, you get a credit for that as well. And you can get an a la carte option. So you don't have to necessarily do the $14.99 a month. There's a way for you to choose audiobooks a la carte, and so then you're not getting one, more than you can listen to in a month. You can put your membership on hold, and you still can earn free audiobooks while your membership is on hold if your friends choose to purchase. So that's nice, and I think you can put it on hold for an unlimited amount of time. Here's my one challenge with Libro.fm. You can only choose the books you want to download on their browser website. So in other words, I can't choose books I want through the app at this point. You can only do it through the browser. So that's a little bit challenging, and only because, if I'm at my desktop, that's not a challenge, but if I'm on my phone, I find looking at a website on my browser on my phone a little bit more tedious, but I'm older, so a lot of younger people probably don't care about that at all. The iPad's a little bit bigger and I don't mind it quite as much, but it would be nice if you could download your credit choice directly from your phone, and they don't allow that. You can do that through Audible and through Hoopla and Overdrive, so that makes that easy. Again, you can get a free trial, or you can get 3 credit books. That's kind of your choice if you switch, or you can get a free trial for a month, I think, for 30 days. So I so far would give Libro 4.5 stars. I haven't streamed a lot of titles, so I don't know if there's any issue with the streaming quality. I don't think that there would be. Libro you can download to your device, and then it puts it in a listening folder for you so that you know what you're listening to, and you can, I think, remove the download, but you keep those books forever. So I don't think you can download Libro.fm to your iTunes account, but I could be wrong. So if any of you know that is the case, feel free to correct me, because again, this is very new to me. I think the most special piece about that one, and why I saved it for last, is because it's not only the newest that I've used, but also because it benefits independent booksellers. It would be hard for me to say no to that. So again, I listen now to audiobooks in a variety of ways, not just when I'm walking or at the gym. I do feel like it has increased the number of books I can read every month, especially when I got the Bluetooth, so I'm not kind of carting the phone around with me all through the house with earbuds, kind of connected to the device. It's much improved my ability to finish a book. Now, this is what's interesting to me. You can speed up the streaming of almost every one of these apps except for LibriVox. I don't think you can speed those up, but you can speed up almost any of them. I didn't used to do that, and there are certain ebooks I would never speed up because I love their narration and the quality of that narration. Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan is one that comes to mind. I would never have sped that up. It was just the perfect storytelling experience. I listened to Where the Crawdads Sing this weekend. I finished it this weekend. I listened to it for a few days, and I sped that up to 1.8, and I was happy that I did. It wasn't too chipmunky for me, but it also cut the listening time down quite a bit. I've started one this morning that I have sped up to 1.8 as well. Some people don't like that, and that's okay. I will say that I can read a book faster than I can listen to it at regular speed. So that is something to consider if you're a reader who really wants to consume a large number of books in 1 month, for whatever reason that is. It is nice to be able to speed up an audiobook because at regular speed, they can be much slower than your capacity to read the printed word. Having said that, there are some narrators, which is a whole separate video, that I really love listening to, and I would probably never speed them up, or certainly not more than 1.5. Narrators are important to some people, and so that is, and then they're important to me in certain cases. For example, I listened to Michelle Obama's Becoming. I'm so grateful that I listened to that in her own voice, and memoirs often do make a difference to me when they're read by the person who has written them. Ocean Vuong is the reader of On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and so I'm really intrigued by her and her work, and listening to her voice is lovely, and I may not speed her up at all. Some narrators are not as great, and I've seen other people say I don't listen to audiobooks because I don't often like the narrators. I can see that. I get it. But I will say that of these, apps, the ones that you can't necessarily control the narrators is really LibriVox. The others are using the people that were contracted through the publishers to narrate. So I think that's everything I wanted to tell you about audio listening and how to access audiobooks for no cost or low cost, and then for a sort of an average cost. So thanks for joining me today. I can't wait to hear what you listen to, if you listen to, or what you might want to give a try. If you've heard of any of these, let me know. If you feel like the ratings that you have for them are different, I'm always open to that discussion. Any feedback you have on audiobooks, and if you hate them, that's okay too. I wasn't always a fan, and like I said, for a long time they kind of put me to sleep unless I was really actively moving through the story. So as always, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a happy reading day, whether you're reading a physical copy or listening today. Enjoy it. Thanks. Bye.